I'm sure that will be determined in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank the gentleman from New Jersey. Recognize the gentlelady from Florida, Ms. Castor, for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Mr. Zuckerberg. For all of the benefits that Facebook has provided in building communities and connecting families, I think a devil's bargain has been struck. And in the end, Americans do not like to be manipulated. They do not like to be spied on. We don't like it when someone is outside of our home watching. We don't like it when someone is following us around the neighborhood, or even worse, following our kids or stalking our children. Facebook now has evolved to a place where you are tracking everyone. You are collecting data on just about everybody. Yes, we understand the Facebook users that proactively sign in are in part of that platform, but you're following Facebook users even after they log off of that platform and application. And you are collecting personal information on people who do not even have Facebook accounts. Isn't that right?
Congresswoman, I believe that
yes or no?
Congresswoman, I'm not sure that, I don't think that that's what we're tracking.
No, you're collecting, you have already acknowledged that you are doing that for security purposes and commercial purposes. So you're collecting data outside of Facebook. When someone goes to a website and it has the Facebook like or share, that data is being collected by Facebook, correct?
Congresswoman,
yes or no?
That's right, that we understand in order to show which of your friends.
Yeah, so for people that
like
don't even have Facebook, I don't think that the average American really understands that today, something that fundamental. And that you're tracking everyone's online activities, their searches. You can track what people buy, correct?
Congresswoman,
you're collecting that data, what people purchase online. Yes or no?
Actually, if they share it with us, but Congresswoman,
because it has a share button, so it's gathering. Facebook has the application. In fact, you've patented applications to do just that. Isn't that correct? To collect that data.
Congresswoman, I don't think any of those buttons share transaction data. But broadly,
but they track you. You're collecting medical data, correct, on people that are on the internet, whether they're Facebook users or not, right?
Congresswoman, yes, we collect some data for
and you're collecting, you watch where we go. Senator Durbin had a funny question yesterday about where you're staying, and you didn't want to share that, but Facebook also gathers that data about where we travel. Isn't that correct?
Congresswoman, everyone has control over how that works.
I'm going to get to that, but yes, you are. Would you just acknowledge that, yes, Facebook that's the business you're in, gathering data and aggregating that data?
Congresswoman, I disagree with that characterization.
Are you saying you do not gather data on where people travel based upon their internet and the ways they sign in and things like that?
Congresswoman, the primary way that Facebook works is that people choose to share data. And they share
primary way, but the other way that Facebook gathers data is you buy data from data brokers outside of the platform, correct?
Congresswoman, we just announced 2 weeks ago that we were going to stop interacting with data brokers, and even though that's an industry norm to make it so that the advertising can be more relevant.
But I think in the end, it's practically impossible these days to remain untracked in America for all the benefits Facebook has brought and the internet. And that's not part of the bargain. And current laws have not evolved, and the Congress has not adopted laws to address digital surveillance, and Congress should act. And I do not believe that the controls, the opaque agreement, consent agreements, the settings are an adequate substitute for fundamental privacy protections for consumers. Now,
Gentlelady's time.
Thank you. I yield back my time.
Gentlelady's time.
Let that stand. And I'd like to ask unanimous consent that I put my constituents' questions in the record.
Without objection.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Guthrie, for.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for being here. When I first got into public office, the internet was really kicking off, and I had a lot of people complain about ads, just the inconvenience of ads, trying to get in the cumbersome of the internet. I remember telling someone one time, being from Kentucky, a basketball fan, I said, there's nothing I hate worse than the 4-minute timeout, the TV timeout. It's flow of the game and everything. But because of the 4-minute timeout, I get to watch the game for free. So that's something I'm willing to accept to move for free. What you're not really willing to accept is that your data is just out there and it's being used. But it's being used in the right way. And it's funny because I was going to ask this question anyway. My friend, I was planning a family trip to Florida, and I searched a town in Florida, and all of a sudden I started getting ads for a brand of hotel that I typically stay in, at a great hotel at the price available to the public because it was on the internet, that I was willing to pay, and stayed there. And so I thought it was actually convenient. Instead of getting just an ad to some place I'll never go, I got an ad specifically to a place I was looking to go, so I thought that was convenient. And it wasn't Facebook, although my wife used Facebook to message my mother-in-law this weekend when we were meeting up, so it's very valuable. We get to do that for free because your business model relies on consumer-driven data. This wasn't Facebook, it was a search engine, but they use consumer-driven data to target an ad to me. So you're not unique in Silicon Valley or in this internet world in doing this type of targeted ads, are you?
No, Congressman, you're right. I mean, this is ad-based business models have been a common way that people have been able to offer free services for a long time. And our social mission of trying to help connect everyone in the world relies on having a service that can be affordable for everyone, that everyone can use. And that's why the ads business model is in service of the social mission that we have. And I think sometimes that gets lost, but I think that that's a really important point.
But you're different in that instead of getting just when I'm watching the Hilltoppers on basketball, the person advertising me doesn't know anything about me. I'm just watching the ad, so there's no data, no agreement, or no risk, I guess, there. But with you, there is consumer-driven data. But if we were to greatly reduce or stop, or just greatly reduce through legislation the use of consumer-driven data for targeting ads, what do you think that would do to the internet? And when I say internet, I mean everything, not just Facebook.
Well, Congressman, it would make the ads less relevant. So
if we had less revenue, what would that do to them?
Yeah, it would reduce, it would have a number of effects. For people using the services, it would make the ads less relevant to them. For businesses, like the small businesses that use advertising, it would make advertising more expensive because now they would have to pay more to reach more people and efficiently because targeting helps small businesses be able to afford and reach people as effectively as big companies have typically had the ability to do for a long time. It would affect our revenue some amount too, but I think there are a couple of points here that are lost. One is that we already give people the control to not use that data in ads if they want. Most people don't do that. I think part of the reason for that is that people get that if they are going to see ads, that they want them to be relevant. But the other thing is that a lot of what our business, what makes the ads work, or what makes the business good is just that people are very engaged with Facebook. We have more than 1 billion people who spend almost an hour a day across all our services.
I have 30 seconds, so I appreciate the answer to that. But if so I didn't opt out, so forth, and all of a sudden I say, this just doesn't work for me, so I want to delete. You told Congressman Rush that you could delete. What happens to the data? It's there, it's been used, Cambridge Analytics may have it. So what happens when I say, Facebook, take my data off your platform?
If you delete your account, we immediately make it so that your account is no longer available once you're done deleting it. So no one can find you on the service. We wouldn't be able to recreate your account from that. We do have data centers and systems that are redundant, and we have backups in case something bad happens. And over a number of days, we'll go through and make sure that we flush all the content out of the system. But as soon as you delete your account, effectively that content is dismantled, and we wouldn't be able to put your account back together if we wanted.
Gentleman's time.
Well, thank you. My time is I appreciate it.
Recognize the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Sarbanes, for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Zuckerberg. I wanted to get something in the record quickly before I move to some questions. You had suggested in your testimony over the last couple of days that Facebook notified the Trump and Clinton campaigns of Russian attempts to hack in to those campaigns, but representatives of both campaigns in the last 24 hours have said that didn't happen. So we're going to need to follow up on that and find out what the real story is.
Do you want me to?
No, I'd like to move on. You can provide a response to that in writing if you would. Let me ask you, is it true that Facebook offered to provide what I guess you refer to as dedicated campaign embeds to both of the presidential campaigns?
Congressman, I can quickly respond to the first point too.
Just say yes or no. Were there embeds I need to get to that because I don't have time. Were there embeds in the two campaigns? Were offers of embeds?
Congressman,
Yes or no? Were there embeds offered to the Trump campaign and the Clinton campaign?
We offer sales support to every campaign.
Okay, so sales support, I'm going to refer to that as